there are many scientists who seek to have harmony or ways of cooperation between science and theology. Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, there are some scientists who do. I don't think there's so many proportionally, but the spread of religion has been an amazing phenomenon for thousands of years. And it seems to me it's psychologically a wonderful device. Take all the questions you can't answer and give them a name. So somebody says, well, God did that. And the right question to ask then is, well, how does God work? And they regard that as rude. So there's something strange about theology. It's a system of thinking which teaches you not to ask questions. And so I think it's basically incompatible with science. The great thing about humans and a few other animals is that early in life, we get attached to a parent or to another animal of our species. And in the case of humans, once we learn language, we can learn a million things about the world. Mm-hmm. If you had to learn those by trial and error, you'd be dead. And when we grow up, our parent is gone and there's no one to teach us, but we still have that slot in our brain for the marvelous creature who's going to give us the knowledge we need. And you might as well call it God or Satan or whatever is your local religion.
And that, you think, is the origin of religion?
Yes, I think that we have a propensity to assume that there's always going to be someone who can tell us what to do. The trouble with religion is it picks particular things, like why are we here, or what created the world, or what should we do in various conditions. Mm-hmm. And lots of these can be studied and understood a little better by thinking more. But our cultures find ways, and it's the cultural rather than the individual who say, we like things as they are, don't think about this, don't change it. What you should do is told by this book. And that's very convenient. It saves a lot of time. At any period, if there are questions science can't answer because there are no tools, then why knock yourself out? The only trouble is that most of the time those questions could be answered if you knew more. Like what happens after death? Well, we don't need death. There's no reason why people should die. Right now we know lots of genes that cause disease. In 100 years we'll know a dozen genes that cause aging. Maybe people will live for 400 years then. Shortly after that, we'll find ways to put our minds into machines, and then you can make backup copies and live forever. Religion is why we couldn't do this 2,000 years ago, because mainly it stopped science. So if you look at the short-term effects of religion, they're great. They make stable societies, except when they go crazy, which is frequent, and they save a lot of trouble, and they do social services. In the long term, they guarantee death, and they're very bad for us. And almost everyone who is alive today is eventually going to die because the 2,000 years in which science did not progress. So I think death will go away, and we don't need to pray for it. We have to work for it. If we look at religion as fossilized old beliefs, some of which may have been useful, that's fine. But I can't see a serious discussion of the theological ideas in religions because they're nutty. Unless you say how God works, saying that God exists doesn't explain anything.